So we'll do that again. And I think we're, there we go, YouTube. Good morning. There we go. I think we're up and running on YouTube. So I mentioned at the end of last hour, at the end of hour number 1, I mentioned that 4 in 5 Americans surveyed said that they are considering homeschooling. This is at studyfinds.org. Headline here, scared for school, 4 in 5 parents considering homeschooling kids this fall. Subtitle, new survey shows that 82% of parents are more worried about, sending kids back to school than ever before. A quarter say they absolutely will not allow their children in the classroom. As autumn nears and the coronavirus outbreak wears on, the next school year is becoming more uncertain for many parents. A new survey finds 4 in 5 parents are thinking about homeschooling their school-age children this fall. Of those parents, nearly half say they're seriously considering keeping their kids home in 2020 and 2021. The poll, commissioned by Crispy Green and conducted by One Poll, spoke with 2,000 parents to see how families are adjusting to, quote, the new normal, end quote, created by COVID-19. Researchers reveal if given the choice to open or close all schools this fall, 1 in 4 parents would not allow children back into the classroom. So that's, you think about this and the law of unintended consequences. This is not at all what this is not, again, don't misunderstand. I'm not suggesting coronavirus is fake. I do think that there are people who intentionally look to, I don't think that this is deniable. They look to events like this or issues like this, and they say, how can we put that, to work for us? How can we make that benefit us the most? I think that that's unfortunately what happens. And it's sad to say that. I don't like to say that, but I do think that some people look at it that way. How can we use this situation to create the results that we want? I mean, look, for example, you have the COVID and what's happened when we shut down our economy, which again, there's still echoes of doing that again in places now. People thinking that is going to protect us, protect our economy, somehow to protect us. I read that yesterday. How does shutting down the economy protect the economy? Some people say, well, Todd, if we let it continue to take the course that it's taking, it's going to ravage society, and we're not going to have anybody that's going to be healthy enough to work. We're going to have places that are closed for longer periods of time and all this sort of thing. So I guess in one sense, I guess the worst case scenario multiplied by another factor, a larger number, you could make the case that I suppose is feasible, but it's not the most likely. In fact, I was looking at, again, I'm in Indiana, so I'm looking at Indiana's coronavirus statistics. And there's been, for the past roughly month, there's been an uptick in cases. In fact, a week or so ago, Indiana peaked out right about 1,000. We have not technically eclipsed 1,000 yet, new cases in a day, but we've bumped up 997 on July 23rd. 943 on July 29th, 976 on July 31st. Those are all new high. Well, those are all highs. The high before was back on April 26th, which was 946. But when you look, again, comparing the death rates or the number of deaths, the death rate is still, now it peaked up higher than normal here in the past few days, but it dropped back down to where there were only 3 deaths reported 4 on August 1st, 3 on August 2nd, and that's the last data that I have available here. But it did peak at 17, which is still way off our all-time high of 50 on April 22nd. So now some people will say that these numbers will trend up as we've had more cases. But the thing is, it's not been trending up, even when you take into account the 2-week period. It doesn't follow the same trajectory that the new number of cases have taken. So this is a far from a foregone conclusion as to how this shapes up. But people are scared to send their kids to school, and many are now looking at homeschooling. Now I'll pause. We homeschool. We homeschool here in the Huff household. We have homeschooled. Our oldest is just turned 11 a couple of months ago, I guess. But we've homeschooled him from day one. We've homeschooled the two girls as well, and we think it's a good thing. There's a lot of benefits. I'm not suggesting that no one should send their kids to public school. I do think that you better be, no matter where you send your kid to school, whether you homeschool, you go to private school, public school. I think that you better be ready to be involved. You better be ready to, in some cases, if you're sending them to school, to deconstruct some of the stuff they've been taught, or to redirect them, put them on the right path, to be involved and to potentially challenge teachers over some things. There's many good teachers, but there's more than I care to admit that aren't that great. So, but many people are looking to homeschooling. This is not what the government, I jokingly tell my wife, this is not what the government wants. When you look at the people that the radical left and the lovers of big government do not like, it's us, right? We're self-employed. We homeschool, white, Christian, conservative, small business owner. This is, we're in the crosshairs of who the radical left thinks is the problem in America. And of course, the values that we hold, the values that we teach, the Savior that we believe in, it actually is the answer. But that, of course, is not how this, not how people look at this on the radical left. They think that this is, these ideas radical. They're radical. Conservatism, the Constitution, just radical to them. Christianity has no place, they think, in common in the common culture today, from their perspective. But the problem is, this Christianity has radically transformed lives, millions upon millions upon millions of lives, and you can't tell someone that they didn't experience what they experienced. And so from that perspective, they're never going to win that battle. That's why they want to shut up people that don't say things that promote the ideology that they have, which, again, radical liberalism is actually a religion. I'm not saying all liberals view their political ideology as their religion, but many do. In fact, I had an email, one of my all-time favorite emails, from a liberal listener, and she said absolutely her political ideology is the closest thing that she has to a religion. She's an atheist. I think she was. Her name was Lisa. I promised her I wouldn't share her last name, but that's what she told me a couple of years ago in this email. It was a really, really lengthy email, very, very long email that I keep, and I share that from time to time. But anyway, so this is not the direction this is supposed to go. And so on top of that, we have teachers. This is at Reuters. Teachers protest across the U.S. over reopening schools and pandemic. Teachers and support staff at more than 35 school districts across the United States on Monday are protesting the reopening of schools while COVID-19 is surging in many parts of the country. They are demanding in-person classes not be held until scientific data supports it. Safety protocol. Pause there. Until scientific data supports it. Now, where was I? I was in Southern Indiana early that last week. Actually, it might have been Tuesday. It might have been a week ago today. I attended the, I went to a restaurant to do we were camping last week, and I couldn't get Wi-Fi. I had to get some work done. So I went to I went to a restaurant to work for the afternoon. And it was the first time I'd been out since the mask mandate in Indiana. Not a law, by the way, mandate by the governor here in the state of Indiana, had to wear a mask. And so I wasn't real familiar with some of the little nuances. So, for example, when you're in a restaurant, you're supposed to put your mask on to go into the restaurant. Now, when you get to your table, you have to sit down. When you sit down, you can take off your mask. Now, I'll tell you, I often go to restaurant bar areas, not the bar, but the taller bar tables. I've had 2 ACL reconstructive knee surgeries, and so sitting in chairs where my knees are bent more like a 90-degree angle just makes them stiff at sometimes. So I like the chairs where my legs don't have to be at that steep of an angle, or I should say that, I guess, tight of an angle, and I can stand up. Right, they're at that right height, and I stand up half the time. Sometimes I stand up the whole time. And this server in the restaurant about lost her mind because I was standing up, leaning at the table. I think I turned around. I was on the phone. I got a phone call, and I turned around. I was maybe not even a foot from my table, and she lost it on me. Sir, you're going to have to put on your mask. You either sit down, and you can take off your mask, or you can stand up. And I'm thinking, are you listening to yourself? Like, does the virus, if God forbid I have this thing, do you really think it knows if I'm sitting or standing? Do you really think that it's more easily transmitted if I'm standing over sitting? First of all, the people that I'm around, which was nobody, are no closer to me now than when I was sitting. Why is this an issue? I'm just bringing this up because, again, the teachers are demanding no in-person classes be held until scientific data supports it. Well, we've jumped into this mask bit before any data supports that masks work. In fact, I've shared on here. I played clips from a gentleman who was talking about the research that's been conducted. It's been conducted since 2009. Now, they were studying actually N95 respirator masks, which are offer more protection than a standard, just a surgical mask, or even worse, a T-shirt or a cloth mask, or one of those, I don't know, what's the fabric that people wear over their necks and they can pull it up? I don't know what that is. Maybe I don't know what the fabric is, but it doesn't matter. The different types of face coverings. And those are even below the N95 as far as the amount of protection offered, but all of the studies show that there was no noticeable difference or no significant difference in whether or not someone who wore a mask or didn't wear a mask was less likely to contract. This was the flu in these studies, and there were 8 of them conducted, various years between 2019 and even earlier this year in 2020. And they all showed that there was no meaningful statistical difference between wearing and not wearing an N95. So I don't know until scientific data supports it, what are the teachers demanding? Look, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a discussion about this, but I'm going to say something that's going to upset some folks. I do think this. I think that we're to the point now that if teachers aren't teaching, if we're not having school, or if school is cut, then I think we've got to be to the point where pay has to be proportionately addressed here. You can't work 20% of the time or 40% of the time for 100% of the pay. I think districts are reasonable, when this first hit and there were a couple of months of just trying to keep things stable, and we had the payroll protection program or whatever that was, PPP, people trying to protect the economy as we shut it down. But if we're going to continue to shut things down or dramatically change the amount of teaching that's going on, you absolutely have to look at the cost. Why should teachers be insulated when businesses aren't? I mean, PPP funding is, it's been spent. I think there's still some funds available for folks that haven't originally applied, but look, it's been spent. If you can't pay your employees now, I don't know where you're going to get the money. This needs to be a part of this discussion. If we're going to not reopen schools, parents, again, 70 or 82% are considering homeschooling, which I think is great, by the way. I do. I know that maybe 82% of people, maybe some of those folks are not really equipped or taking seriously the idea of homeschooling. But if people are engaged in homeschooling, I think that's a good thing. People are engaged in the lives of their, and you don't have to homeschool to be engaged in, I am saying engaged in the day-to-day education of children. If you take that seriously, homeschooling can be a great thing. There are some great programs and groups and opportunities that exist for folks that do homeschooling or distance learning or whatever. But as much as it pertains to the teachers, I mean, look, and I know if we're going to radically change how much teaching's involved, we cannot continue to pay for this. What we've been paying, communities can't afford it if the communities aren't able to themselves operate their business because of restrictions or other concerns or fallout from panic and that sort of thing, reasonable or unreasonable, from COVID, right? Concerns and panic. If businesses, that's where the money comes from. It's amazing to me how many people don't understand this. Businesses generate revenue in the form of taxation, and that's where people in the government get paid. That's how they get paid, is from the profits generated from businesses. That's taken by the state. And there's some taxes that need to be taken, but these taxes are taken and then used to pay for things like schools. That's why it's problematic when people in the public sector, paid for by the state or federal governments or even local governments, when they're making more than their counterparts in the private sector, that math doesn't make sense. That math doesn't make sense. My only point here, and I know this will upset some people off the charts, and I'm just saying listen to my words. And my words are, if you're doing 60% of the teaching you normally did, it's not reasonable to think that you can indefinitely get 100% of the pay without any change to that, while the rest of the private sector doesn't have these built-in insulations, because the private sector is the one paying for these positions anyway. That's a reasonable discussion. I don't hear that coming up. I just hear demands from teachers. I don't hear what they're willing to give up. Remember, taxpayers pay this. I remember one time at the community I lived in, driving down the street, and I saw teachers protesting with signs about their pay. And I thought, do they not realize that the people driving around this community right now are the ones that they're paying? It'd be akin to me, I owned a small business at the time, going to one of my clients who was doing business with me, paying us for something, and for me to take a protest sign and to walk around saying my clients don't pay me enough out in front of one of my clients' locations. I just thought that's ludicrous. Anyway, I've been on a school board. I kind of understand how this works. It doesn't always make sense, but I'll tell you that a big chunk of the new money goes to paying teachers, and it is what it is. I don't know where they think this money comes from. I think it grows on trees or what. But anyway, that needs to be part of this discussion as well. Long in the segment. Got to take a break. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
Does your business have a plan for social media marketing? Are you reaching the right audiences through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the list goes on? Are you learning from the data? Jarbo can help. Our team doesn't just come in and tell you how to be successful. We help you execute and measure your sales and marketing efforts. Give us a call at 317-834-6560 or visit us online at jarbomarketing.com. That's jarbomarketing.com. Make social media work for you.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went, in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't. And Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email john@toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
Ever ask yourself, what does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
Are you concerned about your investments? Intrepid Financial has been educating, customizing, and servicing Hoosier investment portfolios since 1998. Our family-owned and operated business builds strong bonds with our clients. When you call, we answer the phone, always ready to walk you through your investment strategy. Intrepid means without fear. We want our clients to be fearless, to feel secure with their investments. Give us a call at 317-818-1776 or visit us online at intrepidfinancial.com.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
Welcome back. All right, so talking here about just the effects of COVID on education. So I was referencing here teachers protesting across the U.S. over reopening schools during the pandemic. So they're demanding in-person classes not be held until scientific data supports it, whatever that's supposed to mean, because I've found that the one constant through all of this coronavirus stuff is that nobody knows what they're talking about. Now, there is a lot of again, if you trust this stuff, there's a lot of data that suggests that, children are not affected. There's been research now that says that the amount of transmission of the virus from children to adults is not very much. Again, for however much you can, I guess, trust this stuff. So there is that. And we've seen, there's been places that have reopened schools and other places around the world. But again, the United States has seen an increase in cases. So, but we put all this hope in masks. And my wife actually asked me this. She's like, if masks work, then what are we even worried about? Which just seems like a fair question to me, right? I think the way that they're trying to phrase it is, look, masks are kind of like the last line of defense, excuse me, if you are out in public and cannot socially distance. I think that's how they're trying to frame it now. The problem is I don't trust them. They've taken us through all different sorts of scenarios where they first told us masks did not work. Remember that? Masks were largely symbolic. That's what Fauci told us. Then I saw Fauci throwing out the first pitch at the Nationals game, a week or two ago. He had his mask on when he threw out the first pitch, but then he went up in the stands. Now, granted, he was just sitting by his wife and one other person, but he didn't have his mask on then. I don't think he had his mask over his nose. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. And then you've got what's happening in D.C., which I want to shift to and talk about as well. D.C. is they are the mask police and that sort of thing there in our nation's capital, except for if you're part of the government. I'm going to talk about this. It's just remarkable what's happening in D.C. and in other places as well, from folks based upon who's actually not wearing the mask, who gets exemptions from quarantines and that sort of thing. They told us at the beginning, they said the coronavirus doesn't care if you're white or black, Hispanic, whatever, Asian, Pacific Islander, doesn't matter what you are, your genetic makeup, it's coming, you're at risk. It doesn't matter male, female, it doesn't matter old or young. Now, the more that we've learned, the more that we've realized that age certainly matters, and it appears that it affects men more. It's deadlier for men than women, apparently, from what we're being told. But again, now we're being told that if you're part of the DC in crowd or you're a leftist, you don't have to follow the rules. Or if you go to a protest, you don't have to worry about the spread of coronavirus. In fact, you're helping people. One of my all-time favorite stories. Cities that had protests actually caused people to socially distance themselves from one another, which actually helped prevent the spread. Crazy thing. Helped prevent the spread of coronavirus in cities where protests took place. So we'll talk about that, talk about D.C., talk about some of these crazy exceptions and double standards for those inside the political system, or those who are with the right political beliefs getting exemptions that other people could only dream of as it pertains to coronavirus. So talk about that after the break. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, Todd Huff, back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
Our word can't be diluted because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GregHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, President of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing, and electrical done right.
Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick.
Dial the number, spell the words.
For on time.
Are you one of the growing number of Hoosiers who are concerned about higher taxes, ever-increasing spending, and massive debt in Indiana? So am I. I'm Donald Rainwater, and I'm the Libertarian candidate for governor here in the state of Indiana. As your governor, I'll work to reduce the size of state government, protect your individual rights, and keep more of your money in your pocket. I believe every Hoosier is essential. I also believe that every Hoosier has equal protection under the law to operate their business, attend religious observations, and provide an income for their household, even in a crisis. I believe that all Hoosier businesses provide the necessities of life to their owners and employees. As your governor, I will safeguard your rights to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness as defined by you, not the government. To learn more, go to rainwaterforindiana.com. In Indiana, we need better government, not bigger government. And on November 3rd, I need your vote. My name's Donald Rainwater, and I approve this message. Paid for by Rainwater for Indiana.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
Geothermal tax credits are back, making this the perfect time to install a new Climate Master geothermal system. Take advantage of this limited time 26% tax credit and begin cutting your heating and cooling bills immediately. Visit indianageothermal.com/info to get your free Climate Master information kit or call 317-829-1490. Visit indianageothermal.com/info or call 317-829-1490. Geothermal, it's cheaper than you think.
Wallace Construction is a family-owned business with 45 years' experience in asphalt, concrete, and seal coating. At Wallace Construction, our wide variety of experience and top-notch customer service have helped us build a strong reputation in Central Indiana. But we don't rest on that reputation. We build it, one job at a time. If you have an upcoming project, call us at 317-422-5356. That's Wallace Construction, 317-422-5356, and ask for Richard or Roger.
Welcome back. Oz just asked me during the break. She's looking up at the Fox News, and she said, do people really think that Trump is not going to leave the White House if he loses the election? And it's not, look, I mean, do some people think that? I think some people believe anything. So, yes. I mean, some people believe Elvis is still alive. Some people believe that the earth is flat. Some people believe that, I mean, you could name any number of things. Some people believe that liberalism works, but you have a group of people that believe anything. But you also have people who want to stir this up. This has been a recurring theme regarding President Trump since he ran for office, right? Since he first announced it, came down the stairs back in 2015, came down the escalator. The theme was, Trump's not serious. He just wants to help his reality show, blah, blah, blah. Trump's doesn't have a chance. Trump this, Trump that. Then when he was, leading, I remember again, I was at an event for the Heritage Foundation. They had all 16 or 17 at the time, I can't remember, candidates speak. Everybody came, all the presidential candidates, except for President Trump. I had people tell me at the time, he's not serious. He doesn't want to face a conservative audience. He's really not running for election, blah, blah, blah. Then he becomes the nominee. Trump's not really going to go through with this. He's going to drop out, blah, blah, blah. Then it was Trump's really no different than Hillary. Trump's a liberal. His beliefs are the same as Hillary, blah, blah, blah. Then it was, Trump's not, Trump's going to quit. He's going to be the first president to resign. In fact, we had people, historians, tell us that I'm sure that there was some scientific proof that President Trump was going to have the second shortest stint in the White House in American history. The only one shorter would have been William Henry Harrison. And in fact, I think I remember it was predicted a couple hundred days. I don't even know if it was a couple hundred. It might have been 100 or something like that. And they were talking about this. I remember this. I remember these people on television telling us, yeah, it's going to happen. The guy's going to, basically not be in office in the next 45 minutes. Then it was Trump's going to go to prison for Russian collusion. Then it was Trump's going to go to prison for Ukrainian collusion. Trump's going to go to prison, be ushered out of the White House in handcuffs and an orange jumpsuit, not to be confused with Hillary's orange pantsuit. And here we are. Now it's Trump is going to not be removed, or he's not going to leave the White House. They're going to have to basically send in probably the same troops that are being used, the same federal law enforcement that's being used to protect federal monuments in these cities that are burning to the ground because liberal mayors and liberal governors won't take control of their cities and enforce the law. Probably those same troops that they're bad-mouthing today, the left will be calling for to come in and remove President Trump from the White House, to vacate it so that Biden can take over. It's like there's no repercussion, there's no consequences for their reckless comments, right? The image they want to put in your head is that this is the most reckless, dangerous, anti-constitutional president we've ever had. This guy's out of control. He's a danger and a menace to society. We don't even know if he's going to leave the White House if he is beaten by Joe Biden, who's hiding in his basement. Right? That's what they want you to believe. Anyway, that just came up during the break. So I want to get back to what we were talking about here. I alluded to D.C. There's some issues happening in D.C. that I find hypocritical. This is in the Daily Caller. So you remember when D.C. was basically under siege, when there were protesters and rioters, not to be confused with one another. I don't want to do my whole when a protest turns into a riot bit, but you know what I'm talking about. So you remember all that in D.C. You remember the graffiti. You remember the fires, stuff being destroyed. D.C. police, according to the Daily Caller here, D.C. police arrested 4 people during all of that. 4 people during destruction of property and all that stuff. Pulling over of monuments. I think some of that happened in D.C. I mean, the buildings were on fire. Remember the church across the Lafayette Park from the White House. Now, they just arrested half as many pro-life people in the city of D.C. for writing Black Preborn Lives Matter. Think about that. For writing that in the street. And I believe that they went, if you read this article, and I'll talk about this more after the break, but I mean, the details here are, it's astonishing, but it's not. It's predictable, but it's still crazy to think that we live in this sort of world and society. So, talk about that when we get back. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I am your host, Todd Huff, back here in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface strain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial-grade service for your home.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at zuluscape.com.
Healthcare is expensive and complicated. Did you know that as a Christian business owner, it is possible to provide access to affordable health benefits for your employees? Remodel Health has helped employers across the United States save over $22 million in the past 3 years. Our innovative approach allows your employees to have the health benefits they need at a cost you can afford. Go to remodelhealth.com/Todd to help your employees find the healthcare they deserve. Remodel Health. Rethink employee health benefits.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freege, owner and lead auctioneer at Freege & Freege Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
When life is hard for the women you care about, there is help with issues such as widowhood, anxiety, depression, or abuse. They don't have to go through it alone. Peace Restored is there to walk with women through the journey. Peace Restored helps women through free mentoring, counseling, and education. When life is hard, Peace Restored is there to help women you care about find hope and healing. To learn more, visit peacerestored.net.
Welcome back. So, D.C., who arrested a total of 4 people, according to the Daily Caller. 4 people were arrested when the city was on fire, when the historic church right across from the White House was burning. 4 people were arrested. D.C., arrested 2 pro-lifers on Saturday for writing Black Preborn Lives Matter outside a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. Here's what the article says. The Metropolitan Police Department, this is in Washington, D.C., arrested 4 people for defacing property in the District of Columbia as occasional riots engulfed portions of the city over nearly 2 months, but arrested 2 pro-lifers for writing Black Preborn Lives Matter in chalk. Saturday. MPD spokeswoman Elena Gertz confirmed to the Daily Caller News Foundation Monday that only 4 people were arrested for defacing private/public property during protests and riots in late May, June, and most of July. Numbers reflected in the MPD's unrest-related arrest data. It's kind of a tongue twister between May 30th and July 17th. According to the data set, quote, an arrest was considered unrest-related. Only government can come up with stuff like this. If it was a curfew violation where a person refused to return home despite receiving a warning, and or if the person committed another arrestable offense in a public space or due to unlawful entry of a private space co-located with or near in time or place. Oh my goodness, I love governments. 2 demonstrations going on in the city at the time and appearing clearly or likely linked to the civil unrest in the city. Gobbledygook right there, folks. The 4 people arrested for defacing property are named here. But MPD, this is the part of the article I wanted to get to, then arrested 2 members of the Students for Life of America group Saturday morning for chalking pro-life sentiments, including the slogan Black Preborn Lives Matter, on the road. On the road. Remember, we're painting Black Lives Matter. This actually says it's 75% of the right slogan. They just inserted the word preborn. Black Preborn Lives Matter on the road in front of a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. Gertz told the DCNF, Daily Caller News Foundation, I guess, that Students for Life members were arrested for defacing of private/public property and were later both citation released. Some protests in D.C. have turned violent and chaotic, frequently after dark. I'm just not going to read any more of this. It's incredible. You have people spray painting federal buildings on camera. Spray paint. I'm looking at pictures right here in the middle of the day. Or during daylight. I don't know if it's the middle of the day, but it's during daylight. Nothing. 4 people arrested. 2 people write in chalk on the road the same 75% of the same of the saying Black Lives Matter. They insert the word preborn. Black preborn lives matter, and suddenly these folks need to be arrested. Also reminds me, and I just have a minute to mention this, the double standard of how, I'm trying to pull this up really quickly before I got to take a break, but the double standard of how the quarantines have been handled here. So this is in justthenews.com. Lawmakers returning from John Lewis's funeral exempt from D.C.'s quarantine order. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's quarantine dictates that anyone traveling to a high-risk area for non-essential reasons must self-quarantine for 14 days upon entering the district. Georgia is deemed high risk by the mayor's office. So folks go to the funeral of John Lewis, which I'm not saying they shouldn't or whatever. I'm just saying that they're exempted. She exempted those folks who attended the funeral. Government activity is essential, she says, and the capital of the United States is exempt from the mayor's order. So again, if you're the right person, if you're doing the right thing, if it's approved by the government, you get a pass. If your family's sick, if your family is in Georgia and you go to visit them, or there's a funeral, God forbid that you could even have a funeral in another state, you come back to your home city of Washington, D.C., your district, you won't be allowed to enter unless you 14-day quarantine. I mean, it's just insane what we've allowed to happen here. This is exactly the root of what most people, political beliefs aside, but this is the problem most people have with government. It's do as I say, not as I do. It's double standard. It's one set of rules for the elites, another set of rules for the rest of us dopes out there across the fruited plain. And I've got to take a break. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
Healthcare is expensive and complicated. Did you know that as a Christian business owner, it is possible to provide access to affordable health benefits for your employees? Remodel Health has helped employers across the United States save over $22 million in the past 3 years. Our innovative approach allows your employees to have the health benefits they need at a cost you can afford. Go to remodelhealth.com/Todd to help your employees find the healthcare they deserve. Remodel Health. Rethink employee health benefits.
Indy Decorative Concrete is hiring immediately. They're looking for workers with experience finishing concrete. Pay is $25 to $30 per hour with weekly overtime. All jobs are located within the city of Indianapolis. Call 317-784-1464 or apply in person at their offices located at 8366 Brookville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46239. They're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, visit their website, www.indydecorativeconcrete.com. www.indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that kills more people than drunk driving. In fact, radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Is radon threatening the health of your family? Call Radon Environmental at 317-843-0804. Radon Environmental specializes in radon testing and mitigation. The process is quick, easy, and worth it. Radon Environmental wants to make sure your family's health is not at risk. Call 317-843-0804.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
Welcome back. So, the double standard that exists in government. And I'll say this to a large degree, it doesn't even matter. It's not entirely true, but it doesn't matter by and large what political party someone belongs to. If you're in the in crowd, if you're one of the political elites, you have one set of rules. See the lawmakers who attended the John Lewis funeral. And I've seen, it reminds me of social media interactions that I've seen. Somebody made the comment that he couldn't attend his dad's wedding. He said, I get it. My dad wasn't, funeral. Gee, me. Couldn't attend his dad's funeral because his dad wasn't, quote unquote, important. He said, I get it. And, people chime in and they say, look, John Lewis was, important. I mean, what is that? What? I'm not suggesting John Lewis wasn't. I'm just saying, why is some person that's not known in mainstream America, why is their death not important? Why can you attend John Lewis's funeral and come back and not be subject to quarantine? It makes no sense. You talk about an anti-science belief, folks. That is it. Anti-science to think that it matters which funeral you attend as to whether or not you're quarantined when returning back to DC. But I've got to go. Thanks for listening so much. See you tomorrow, guys. SDG. See you soon.